everyone, today we're going to be customizing our fuel line. As you can see, I had already cut this thing back a couple years ago. My tuner was saying that the check valve might be causing some issues with the fuel flow. I was running out of low side pressure pretty quickly. He was thinking it might have been the factory check valve, so I ended up cutting the hard line here, running this compression adapter. Well, we have a new fuel line setup. I got a bracket that's going to mount here. I got the firewall bracket from Gabe at GMS along with one of his new ethanol sensors and a 10 micron Racetronics fuel filter. Now, because I'm not installing it the same as his setup, I'm going to be having the check valve on one side and the fuel filter on the other. I had to drop the whole setup down so to clear these black firewall braces on either side. But first up, we'll go ahead and cut the fuel line, so let's get into that. This fitting here is a 3/8 tubing to -8 female adapter. Now I'm going to be swapping this out to a 3/8 tubing to -6. Now I'm going to be cutting it back about right here. We're going to see how that works. First, we're going to mock it up and may have to cut it back down there and then just run a piece of fuel line from down here up to the fuel line setup. But we'll go ahead and cut it up top first and kind of mock it up with the fittings I got, and we'll see how it looks and we'll make any adjustments needed after that. So first, I have this mini tube cutter. Picked it up down the street from O'Reilly. It's actually pretty dang small and it works real well for cutting this hose in these tight spots. It should fit in between here. While I'm cutting this, if I'm cutting it near this bend, you're going to want to kind of feel where the bend ends and where it comes back to nice and round spot on the hose, on the line. So if you feel it, it's somewhere about right there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it back just a little bit further. This is just like a pair of copper cutters. I'm going to tighten it down. You know what I'm going to do? It's just okay. So right. Probably would be smart to just go ahead and mark this, but this is probably not going to be my final cut, so I'm just going to go ahead and eyeball it right now. But I want to get this cut, get this piece out of the way. And so what I'm going to have to do, I'll just go ahead and snug it up, give it a twist, and you're going to keep tightening it down. I don't know if you can see, it's got a little line that's making on there, and as you twist, it's just cutting a little bit more into it at a time. You can see it's making a nice, clean, straight cut. There it goes. This is how I have mine set up. I have a 3/8 quick disconnect over here. The dime connector will slide right on. There's a good amount of clearance between this rail and yeah, it'll come around here. Here's the check valve, his new advanced fuel dynamics ethanol sensor. This thing's pretty slick. Has -8 ORB female connections. There's also, I think he has 3/8 quick disconnect fittings as well. So it's pretty modular design. You can kind of set it up however you want. But the way I have it, these things screw right in. Try to make as few connections for potential leak points or failures. So this runs right into there. My check valve going right here. So if I ever need to replace this or replace the filter element inside, pop this off, unscrew this thing. I am going to have a P clamp. It's going to go around this. I'm going to drill a hole in here. I'll bolt it to there. Usually this sensor mounts up here. That's what these two holes for. This flex fuel sensor actually has mounting provisions on the back side, but if I were to put that up there, this thing runs obviously right into the side, so that's an issue. So I went ahead and added this little drop down bracket, drilled and tapped it so there's no nuts or anything on the back side of this. These screwed right into this drop down plate, and then I drilled some holes to mount this to the little plate. I also have this -10 ORB to -6 AN fitting. You run one of these LP check valves. They come -10 ORB on both sides, so you can kind of mount whatever ends you want coming off of there. This is going to be my -6 to 3/8 compression fitting. Pull this cap off. Oh, I'm still got to deburr this, but this is just going to be for mock-up purposes. That'll go right there. Now that almost lines up perfect. I can get some wiggle out of the hose, but there's no room to run a hose. Instead of a hose end fitting, I could potentially just run a 45 female by male and then a female to female. So these are the dime hose connections. Dimey, I'm not 100% sure how that's supposed to be said, but anyways, all I do, they have this special corrugated PTFE line. I believe it's corrugated anyways, but it's extremely flexible. So this will actually be a 90, come straight off, hook to the factory hard line, 90 down there. So if I ever need to take this off, wondering. So this, I believe, is a 60, so it's a little radical for my needs. So this will be to be continued. I'm going to go ahead and look at some fittings for this, see if I can't just run a 45 male by female to a -6 by -6 female union. That might get me the length to be able to just basically hard mount this. Won't even have to make a hose for it. But again, I still need to tighten this down all the way. So pretty much gonna have to just kind of play with it and see what I come up with. First thing I want to do is go ahead and deburr this line. Now I'm going to flush this line out before I run it, so I'm not worried about this getting in there. What I'm going to do, slide this end on first, slide on this olive, got my top piece here, set it down on there, -8-6. I'm just gonna tighten this thing down. This. Tighten this down. And then last but not least, these down. Back this up. Last one. So just to wrap it all up, I ended up using a 3/8 tubing to male -6 AN adapter. From there, it's a female by female -6 AN 45. That went to a -6 AN male by female adapter, and then from there it went to a -6 to a -10 ORB fitting into the LP check valve. From the check valve it went to a -10 ORB to a -8 ORB into the fuel flex fuel sensor. Then from the flex fuel sensor it went to a -8 ORB to -10 ORB to the Racetronics fuel filter. And then off of there it goes from a -10 ORB to a 3/8 quick connect, and then I'll run a dime hose off of that quick connect to the quick connect on the driver's side head. If you can see, I went ahead and also installed that P-clamp wrapped around the Racetronics fuel filter and bolted that down to the bracket I had made, and so we should be good to go. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, and I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you.